Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Girlfriend slept with my friend at a party and again the next morning. Post-separation. A friend of mine invited my girlfriend of 3 years to his house party, and without the intention of hooking up, my girlfriend hooked up with him. She was supposed to come to my place at 9 p.m. that night but stopped texting at around 6 p.m. She said she was too drunk, having fun with meeting new friends, and also didn't know where her phone was. During all this, I texted my friend who had her over, and he took a photo of her having fun with everybody, and it made me feel okay. I never thought she would cheat on me. I asked him if he knows she'll be coming back to my place, and he said she's gonna sleep in the guest bedroom tonight, so I replied with a thanks, friend. During this time, while everybody else was upstairs, he led her to her downstairs room but started getting touchy-feely. And they had sex. The next morning, after being bombarded with texts about "where are you? Why aren't you coming over?" etc. etc., she texted me back with a "sorry boo, how are you feeling?" After that text, he slid into bed with her, brushed her hair and said, "You look kinda cute without makeup," and they ducked again. After he finished, he simply said, "I'm gonna go upstairs," and told all his friends about it. That's when she called me. And, yeah, she admitted to cheating 2 weeks after that. And I had no idea. I had no lead. After many discussions, she said that they would casually text. But it never got intimate until that day. Before that day though, apparently he came to her workplace, got drinks and got really touchy with her. She thought he was just drunk, but she wasn't interested. So this doesn't seem like it was going on behind the scenes. Except my friend had been snaking his way into these situations, doing whatever he can to sleep with her, and he got his way. She said just the thrill of it excited her. It was after an argument with me and she felt like I didn't want her anymore. And she said she doesn't even know why she did it. Except for the fact that he is cute. So at the end of the day, she did it because she wanted to. So I can forgive her once for doing it. But why didn't she text me all night? Why wasn't I prioritized that day, no matter how drunk she was? Why didn't she actively look for her phone to text me? Why did she sleep with him again the next morning if she regretted it the first time? She says she did it again because she felt powerless, she liked being wanted, and she also felt like she already ducked everything up, so she did it again. She is asking to be back with her after 2 weeks of no contact. I found it in my heart to forgive her and realize that she did what she wanted to, and that's that. As I was getting over it, I decided to help her heal, give some advice and move forward with it. But she wanted to get back together with me. I broke up with her, but she kept seeing this guy as friends. And she asked him, "What are we?" only for him to reply, "I don't wanna talk about it, it was just for fun." So this guy was using my girlfriend as a cum dumpster, tricked her into having sex, and made her catch feelings. So after I broke up with her, she didn't have anybody to go to. So she was clinging on to this guy because he was available. What do? I could forgive her for the first time, but it doesn't make sense why she would duck him in the morning again, right after texting me. I loved her and I still do. I wasn't interested in a romantic relationship with her, and I was going to cut her out of my life after this last talk. I still cared about her, she was my little girl, so I wanted to make sure she understood she made a mistake. But it wasn't an accident. I wanted to help her understand her own feelings and accept why she did it all and just get over it. I didn't want anything to do with her after this, but now I realize that it was just a spontaneous thing. I feel like I can forgive her. But she ducked him twice. TLDR, girl suddenly ducked my friend at a party, ducked him again the next morning, and confessed that she cheated 2 weeks later. Update, she has also lied to me about being raped, this and that. A whole bunch of things in her life to get pity and attention out of me. She also cheated in the past, and her sister told me after all of this. Her sister thought that she would tell me. Their family didn't know what kind of crazy liar she was this whole time and are looking to seek therapy. I absolutely don't want to get back with her, but I also don't want her to claim another victim. Do I tell her ASAP or do I wait until she gets a few cycles of therapy? No second chances? Her whole attitude and demeanor changed about it from feeling like letting it happen. She said she knows it was because she's weak and just wanted attention. She said she's going to therapy and it helped her realize my worth. Is it too late? She slept with him twice and tried to have a relationship. Dude, you are plan B, don't ever settle for being plan B. So obvious, right? He's a little arrogant piece of dirt too, lol. I don't know what she sees in him. I know deep inside that nobody is going to top my efforts with her, so I don't really feel insecure or inadequate. Just can't believe she did it, with a garbage thing. Two garbage things colliding. Why was I walking around with garbage? You deserve better, and after casting that albatross off your neck, you will find better. I don't get what you see in him either. You're his friend. Drop him. If you take her back, just remember she's gonna do it again. Dude, I know a lot about reconciliation. It's hard. She's not the type. She didn't even feel guilty after. She'll never be fiancé material. True? Let her go to therapy for 6 months. Best advice is to say goodbye and go 100% no contact on all platforms. It's the only way each of you can heal. She is absolutely not the type. You know what she says? She doesn't even look sad at my pain, she just says vague things like I'll never truly know how you feel and I can't feel your pain. Whatever I say won't help you. Let her go to therapy, but why should I wait and watch her progress? No. She has to do this on her own. Friend, you are in the fog of who you thought she was. You've seen her true character. Block her everywhere. No creeping on her socials. No one will respect you if you don't respect yourself. You don't have any strong male role models in your life. What would your father do if your mom ducked one of his friends twice? Apologies for being a bad husband? My father passed away when I was 12, I'm just a weakling. No excuse. Well, now is the time to become a monster. Don't let anyone walk over you. This girl is not a good partner and you should cut her out and work on your body and mind. Make it strong. What are you even doing with your life, man? What has she done for you, to make you think she deserves any more chances? What if she's out, needing attention the next time? Once, with regret and telling you the moment it happened? Maybe worth another chance. Going back for seconds? That's a choice. She made hers. You take her back now, she'll never respect you. She's also only saying it because you're literally all she has right now. You really want to be plan B 2 times? Nope. You're right. You got this. You got to stand on your principles and boundaries, my guy. Keep your head up. Thanks G, appreciate you. Runaway husband, I feel like I'm in the minority. Rant first time posting. Sorry for a very, very long post. If you like a fact-filled story, enjoy. I feel like I am in the minority with my husband and his cheating. He has never asked for a second chance, never apologized, really never looked back. I will preface I have no reason to think my husband had ever cheated before. I am a little over 3 months from D-Day. My STBXH, M36, and I, F32, have been together 14 years, married for 9 of them. Met in college, struggled financially together in the early years, and finally bought our first home, a condo at the beach, last year. We have no children. I have been going through some medical problems for 2.5 years, probably endometriosis. This did put a damper on our sex life, only a handful of times in the past year due to extreme pain. I always thanked him for being so patient with me while this was going on, and he would say, "Guys can take care of themselves, I just want you better." COVID hindered getting into doctors, and finally this year I was able to start the process of trying to get this diagnosed and resolved. I thought we had a wonderful, special relationship, truly best friends. He has a good paying job, working up over the years. I just have a little online job and an annual contract gig with his employer. So, he was definitely the breadwinner. I never suspected anything was wrong. My husband seemed a little more tired maybe this year, but still always telling me he loved me, planning things together, nothing out of the norm. Now, let me introduce the OW. F28, she was hired on in his department 3 years ago. At first he always lamented how annoying she was and not a hard worker. The three of us have similar degrees, so I was a little jealous of her getting that job so easily. My husband is a bit of a shy guy, computer gamer, very intelligent. She is more of the extrovert type, enjoys drinking, going out, and is an active member of her church. When D-Day happened he had been working 3 weeks solid, weekends too. He had given some early morning COVID test excuse to spend 2 of those nights at his boss's home. We lived 40 minutes from work. Every other night during this time were very late work hours, sometimes home around 1 a.m. Looking back I now believe he was out having dinner, etc. with her some of these nights. The very end of May I find extra clothing in his work bag. He gives the excuse of having a wrap party with people after work. It seemed off and I didn't believe him. After I listened to my gut, I told him I was going to drive to my parents for a week, 1,000 miles away. He didn't really fight me on it. Red flag. I decide to turn around halfway there and call him. Again he doesn't sound overly excited. I can tell he's kind of faking wanting me home. He tells me he has to call the friends to tell them he won't be coming to dinner after all. Weeks later I see on his phone records the friend he called was out. He called her off and on all that night until I get home. When I arrive home it is awkward and he goes to bed. I decide to check his phone and find an Uber receipt from one of the nights he was supposed to be at his boss's home. It shows he stayed at our house and returned to work around 11 a.m. the next day. So, he obviously lied about early morning COVID testing and must have left his car at work. It was one of those "this can't be real" moments. I was shaking, but I wake him up and confront him with this information. He let out a big sigh, as if caught, and then says, "I didn't tell you because I knew you would misunderstand." Sure. I said, "I thought you couldn't stand her." He replied, "I guess she grew on me." I will never forget those words. We stay up all night talking/arguing with me crying for most of it. By morning he pretty much had me convinced it was nothing and he had been there instead of his boss's home because they had all drank too much after work. The next day when he was at work, I demanded her phone number. He reluctantly gave it to me, warning he was afraid she would get him fired over some misunderstanding. Another red flag. I text her, she tells me she thought I knew he had spent the night, and just laughed off any of my concerns, saying they don't even talk about anything personal ever. She claims he just gets ragged on for not going out enough with work people. This is followed by 2 days of what I would call awkwardness from him. I know something is wrong and I finally beg him to tell me. He says he doesn't really feel love for me anymore. He says he doesn't know what is wrong with him and he thinks he needs to be alone for a little bit. This was 4 days before his 36th birthday, so I kept thinking, is he on the insanely low end of the midlife crisis age range? I had purchased baseball tickets for his birthday. He had seemed so excited about it a few days earlier. This is all out of left field, me probably still being in shock. I tell him okay, I will go home to my parents for a little bit. We parted with everything very open-ended. I left everything in my home, except some important paperwork and some of my clothes. My mill, God bless her, even convinced me to leave more than I had originally planned. She said, "Don't make it easy for him to not think about you while you're away." He pretty much ghosted me the minute I left. No phone calls, not even on his birthday. I got a few texts out of him, but that was all. He was playing the "I'm alone taking care of myself" BS. Did I mention 1 day prior to D-Day I had had a biopsy taken and was still awaiting those results? He didn't even call to check on that. He had been so loving and supportive through my medical visits and now he didn't even want to talk to me. Finally, a few days after his birthday, I begged him to just tell me what he wanted. Before I had left, I said, "If you have something serious to tell me, you better do it now in person and not when I am 1,000 miles away at my parents' house." So what does he do? He ends our marriage over the phone. He said it was over and wanted a divorce. Just like that, 14 years ago, the man I had been with since I was 18, gone with one cowardly phone call. I know my husband. If he was saying these things, he meant it. I begged for a separation though. I begged for marriage counseling. At this point I still didn't think it was an affair and thought he was really struggling with something. A few days later I checked his phone records and saw that he had been speaking with her off and on all night on D-Day. I knew I had to go back to my home and find the truth. In mid-June I drove 1,000 miles in one day and didn't tell him I was coming back. As I went through the city, on my way to the beach town we lived in, I decided to drive past our house now that I knew the address. Wouldn't you know it, his car was there. It was about 1:30 a.m. I felt sick, I cried and drove to our condo knowing he wouldn't be there. What I saw was so hurtful. He had taken down all our photos, had all new boxes, new clothes, more alcohol, etc. The sheets were off the bed. I try not to think that they were probably together in our bed, and his wedding ring was in his nightstand. This was only about a week or so after him telling me he wanted a divorce. I spent the night in a hotel and the next evening confronted him when I saw our lights on and knew he was home. He was passed out drunk on the sofa, sand everywhere, beach condo, and was completely shocked to see me. I see 3 missed calls from her on his locked phone. Apparently I missed her by only an hour or 2. How I wish I had known she was there earlier. To have been able to confront her in person and throw her out of my home would have felt good. As he sobered up by morning, he was able to lie again and said she and a friend had been there, not just the 2 of them. There was a new box of unopened condoms in the nightstand. He had the most pathetic excuse: "I bought them as a joke with myself." Okay, I did make one big mistake this day. I slept with him one last time. He made it clear that this would change nothing, but I was hoping as a Hail Mary, maybe he would realize what we had been missing. Instead he said the most hurtful thing a woman can probably hear. He said, pretty much directly afterwards, "If you get pregnant, this will ruin everything." He treated me like I was the other woman, like he had just cheated with me, his wife. It was awful. The following weeks were a blur. I found a lawyer after he suggested filing the divorce paperwork ourselves to save money. It was all too fast. Just a few weeks ago he was saying how much he loved me, and now he was saying, "Hey, I will take all the debt, maybe 30k worth, if you sign the condo over to me." Our property was worth more than 225k, why do they all think we're stupid? He pretty much moved out of the condo at this point, staying with friends and his parents. I got a pie and a tracker for the car. I put a security camera in the home. I left for a day and did catch him FaceTiming her, a lot. Remember, he is a shy guy, he doesn't face anyone. He lied to her in one video clip saying, "Oh, she didn't leave any clean towels for me when she left, so sorry about the loud washer." What? Such a weird, pathetic lie to get sympathy from. Soon after, via the tracker, I see he had been spending every night at OWL's house, sans a few at his parents'. The pie got some footage of them leaving her house together, in our car, him teasing her and smiling like an idiot the entire time. When I confronted him with the tracker information, he lied through his teeth saying, "I've stayed with lots of friends." I said, "Do you want me to show you the proof?" He got angry and walked away. Don't get me wrong, I knew after that final time sleeping together it was over. I did all this investigating because I needed to know why my marriage was really ending. Not his reason of, "Oh, I just no longer love you." I knew this man, and the proof of the other woman, as hurtful as it was, made so much more sense. He had transferred his love for me to her. The few times he would talk to me and come over to get some of his things, he was so cruel and combative. He would stare at me with those shark eyes, like no one was in there, a completely disconnected person. Always leaving quickly and avoiding me and any questions. He was annoyed by my crying, just completely heartless. So unlike the man I knew and loved. He even came in filming me with his phone a few times. His idiotic police officer brother having told him he needed to protect himself. I can honestly say I am not a violent person at all. So, the only thing he got on camera was me crying over him doing such a hurtful thing to the woman he knew for 14 years. He got in my face a few times, very uncharacteristic of him, but I knew even then he was baiting me, hoping I'd gave him a reason to get a restraining order or something along those lines. I found a Discord chat with a friend of his I knew a little. He had completely thrown me under the bus. It was heartbreaking. He called me manipulative, possessive, lazy. Said that I never wanted kids and never wanted to work. Said I would always put up a fight if he wanted to go out. Said he had been putting on a good face because he felt he owed it to me, but that he wanted to start a new life before it was too late. I couldn't believe this. None of this was true. This is a shy computer gamer guy who never wanted to go out. I learned this is typical of cheaters to change the narrative, but even now it hurts to know he either convinced himself of these things, or was that desperate to look like a good guy. I sent the hour voicemail and an email, nothing hostile, just laying out the facts. I had even met her a few times while doing contract work for their employer. I'd had a drink with her. My husband warned me if I ever contacted his co-worker, as he calls her, and if that isn't a mental block I don't know what is, again, that she would call the cops on me. It was more hurtful than you can imagine to hear your husband defending the other woman from me, his wife. His wife who had done nothing wrong except refusing to lay down and die, not making his getaway easy, and not letting him screw me over with a lawyer-free divorce. I was able to sell our condo in only a few weeks. All cash offers are great, and we each got a little bit of money after owning it for all of 11 months. As soon as it sold I had to move back to my parents' home for the time being. We are not in agreement on the divorce finances and will probably end up contested, which neither of us can afford. He still denies he is having an affair. I point out he is cheating right now. Just because you told me you want a divorce does not mean you're a single man. He ignores comments like that. Pretty much he ignores everything unless it is business. I am slowly getting better at North Carolina. Other than business he is full North Carolina. It is so very, very hurtful. I was under the impression we were truly best friends, that we had something special. We did everything together. The only man I had ever been with, and the same for him with me. Now I'm trying to fit in so many medical tests and procedures before I lose my insurance, praying they can finally figure out a diagnosis. And of course I get to add an STD test to the list. How is a big-time Jesus cheater? I am religious, my husband is not. She has been able to get him to start attending her church. A few weeks ago a welcome package from said church was forwarded to my parents' home. What an idiot. I now knew the church's name, contacted the pastor, and quickly explained my situation and concerns. I expressed how I felt my husband would benefit from a pastor's counseling. The out trying to bring him to Christ, maybe just to atone her own sins, did not sit well with me. The day the pastor contacted him, I got 20 missed calls and a very angry voicemail from my husband. He claimed he went to her church alone and on his own. I had ruined the only good thing in his life, etc. I would be happy for him if he finally found some religion, but I can't believe how he lies about things like this. He was most likely just upset she had been outed as a home wrecker in her church where she was very active and had probably been crying to him all day. I know statistically the relationship between a WS and AP doesn't last. But I also know my husband wouldn't throw his entire life away if he wasn't certain. He lived with her for over 2 months until he recently got an apartment about 10 minutes from her home. This is most likely to aid in the false narrative that their relationship didn't start until after we get divorced. She is never married and pushing 30. They have the same job and some common interests. She is a flirt, I've seen it with my own eyes. I think she had her eye on him from the beginning, and when she detected unhappiness in my husband, he was weak and she was there waiting. Like most BS, I think please anyone but the one he left me for. But I am also trying to mentally prepare myself for a likely marriage between them. I lost my best friends, my husband, my home, my security, my trust, and all the dreams I had for our life together. I hope I can move on from this someday. 32 feels so very old when your health is off and you spent your entire adult life with one person who is now gone forever. It really is like death. Despite all the horrible things he has done, I am still struggling with feeling love for him. I would never take him back. Infidelity is a deal breaker for me, but I am still fighting that cognitive dissonance hard. TLDR, I thought I had an amazing, loyal husband of 9 years. He cheated, gaslit, and still denies there was an affair despite all my evidence. He is the one who asked for divorce right away and went mostly North Carolina. He is a runaway husband. Your story is so similar to mine, except I actually found text messages of him cheating. When I confronted him, he just up and left me. Marriage done. The combined trauma of discovering an affair and then losing your husband so quickly is next level. I'm not okay and I won't be for a long time. And similar to you, having him treat me so coldly after so many years of being each other's person is just soul destroying. I think it will take a long time for our brains to accept this new reality. But reading all the other stories in this sub tells me it can be done, with time. I'm sending you love and healing vibes. Be kind to yourself, we will overcome this. 20. Same ladies. Except after I found the text messages, I played the pick me dance for 8 months while he left by degrees until he finally left for good. DM'd me if you need to vent. Lord knows I get triggered frequently. I posted a few days ago if you want to see my story. I had actually read your story when it was posted. The last paragraph resonated with me so much, my same experience. The WS essentially swapped you out for the AP and continued on with all the same activities and things we had enjoyed together. I think if anything, it just speaks volumes about them and the fact they are either in such a messed up mental state, or they were always that shallow and I just never realized it. Yes. I'm so confused. Was he always this selfish and self-absorbed and I just never realized it? Is it a combination of both, messed up mentally because he totally isn't shallowness? Was his character always so lacking and I just assumed that we had the same values? I'm half afraid that the answer to that is yes. Left by degrees is such a good way of putting it. I actually had to tell mine to just leave me alone because he was already without but still wanting me for emotional support, helping him pick his last college classes, consulting me on random stuff. Meanwhile he was introducing his family to her and trying to play the "we'll always be friends" for image control. Yeah, no. Yes. This too. We were best friends for 20 years. We were really close. After he moved out and told me he wanted to be with her 100%, he would come over picking up the kids and talk about tough days at work, how he wasn't sure about what he decided, etc. I was like, don't talk to me anymore about anything emotional. I'm not your friend. We aren't friends anymore. Then a few weeks later, he told me he was going to try to re-establish prior friendships because just talking to his therapist wasn't cutting it. I was like, heck, why aren't you talking to her? You left me for her. Because she was the love of your life. And yet you can't talk to her about anything serious? Dr_historical, I just read your post from 9 days ago. You are so fresh into this but already sound so strong. I am a little over 3 months in from D-Day, but I was right where you were the first month or so. I lost 30 pounds in about 2 months. Every day was a struggle just to stay alive, it felt. Let's be honest, we got dealt a shitty hand. I am still so very sad every day, but I'm trying to repeat the mantra of trust that they suck. Because for someone to not leave in an honorable way, they really must suck. If they didn't try everything to repair the marriage first, if they didn't have the decency to be honest about their feelings, then the least they could have done is leave honorably. I believe you said you have children. Find a lawyer like everyone said and make sure he gives you a fair settlement. Also check out Chump Lady, her website has been very helpful. Thank you Dr_historical, Good thoughts and prayers for you as well. I'm leaning on family and close friends, but I'm finding until someone has had this happen to them, they will not entirely grasp the magnitude of the situation. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.